Junk food supper.
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 Food supper. Junk food
Junk
supper.
food supper.
Junk food supper.
Junk food supper.
Junk food
Welcome
supper.
to Junk Food Supper, episode 126. This is the podcast where every week we find the weirdest and wildest and oldest pro wrestling movies. I like to call us America's #1 antique wrestling podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Sean Byron, joined as always by Perky Beantown Bowman up there in the 559. What's going on, Bowman?
Hey, nothing much. It's very hot up here, and just been having a terrible week where I just have been too hot to live.
Yeah.
Too hot to live, too rare to die, as Andres Thompson once said.
I think he wrote that about you, right?
I think so.
After an encounter with the Bowman, I believe.
Yeah, that is accurate. But yeah, I'm doing all right. I'll live through this probably. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I mean, I feel a little bit revitalized by, this week being the week where we get to infuse a little bit of that classic flavor back into the podcast because we're doing a movie from 1932.
Extremely classic.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they made movies this old. I thought movies started in the 50s. This is just shocking to me to find this out.
Well, and I guess we'll talk more about this later on, but spoiler alert, they had figured out how to make movies, maybe hadn't fully figured out how to record all of the sound yet, I mean, technically a sound picture, but I think, some improvements could have been made.
I think so. Yeah, I think it was recorded straight to phonograph.
No, if you're lucky, man, if you get that edition, I think you're riding pretty high. I got the recorded to Crayola crayon version.
How, movies from the 30s, how were they recording the audio? Was it straight to phonograph? Was audio on a part of the actual film at this point? Or what were they doing? Do you know?
I actually don't know. I think it might have been to phonograph in the earliest possible days. I don't think it was alongside the film initially. I think that would come later, like the sound sync film. But before that, they had a way to capture sound and then, I guess, synchronize it with maybe a tone and some guy in the back.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense. Speaking of this, I was listening to a podcast and this motherfucker was talking about how he went to an IMAX showing of The Odyssey. And IMAX doesn't have sound attached to it. So
they
if
need
you
all
go
the
to
space
see,
on the film for those pixels.
yeah, it's all pixels on that huge film, no sound. So if you go see, I think he went to true IMAX. I think it might have even been 70 millimeter IMAX. I'm not exactly sure which format exactly, but it was IMAX. So he's watching the film on film, obviously. And then, maybe not film, but he's watching this on IMAX. He drove hours and hours.
He paid a premium ticket price. Let's say that.
Premium ticket price to see it in Christopher Nolan's preferred format of IMAX. Went through all this trouble, had to invent new fucking IMAX cameras to film this movie. And the audio was synced to the movie via thumb drive, and about halfway through the movie, it became unsynced. So people's lips weren't matching up to the sound. So good work, Christopher Nolan. You're stupid.
Well, I mean, that still is an improvement over the sound in every other movie that the guy's made. So unsynced or not, if it was audible, I think, you got to give him a round of applause at this point.
He's getting closer. He's getting closer to putting sound in his movies. That's for sure.
He's just one of the, fans of antique films, I guess. He's a real classicist.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, every IMAX showing of The Odyssey should just be Christopher Nolan playing a Wurlitzer in front of the screen. Doing little beeps and boops when the Cyclops shows up.
Well, speaking of new movies, step aside Odyssey. Nobody gives a shit about you and your journeys anymore, Matt Damon, because it's time for a little Spider-Man from New York City to take flight. And this guy's swinging around buildings in New York, breaking all the box office records. Tell me about your Spider-Man weekend.
I saw Spider-Man Thursday night And I should have known it would be a big weekend for Spider-Man because it's pretty rare that like there's more than 20 people anytime I go to see a movie. Like usually it's like probably less than that. But on this Thursday night, I mean, it was packed out with like families all wearing like matching Spider-Man t-shirts, like, you know, lots of like 18-year-old kids all wearing Spider-Man shit, like, lots of people on dates, lots of olds, lots of youngs, like just packed, like super packed. I had to sit next to a stranger for the first time in years at a movie theater.
Whoa. But at least it was a fellow webhead.
Yeah, indeed so. But yeah, so like, yeah, craziness, wild stuff. And yeah, people like, it was a fun movie. It's like, I don't really like these new Spider-Mans as much as the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans.
But this is like the biggest movie of all time, made the most money.
It has made the most money. It's a good movie. I think it's fun. Like it's
what? But you guys love this kind of stuff. This is made for you and your friends, your webhead buddies.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's good. I'm saying. I mean, I don't love it as much as everybody else. Like the world is saying, the letterboxed community and people just out in the world are saying this is like the greatest Spider-Man movie of all time. Like all this, and you know,
better than the Japanese Spider-Man TV show. I find that hard to believe.
I also find that hard to believe, but I mean, it's fun. Like this is like probably the most comic booky movie ever made. Like it's like pretty much every single character is like, I mean, not every, well, yeah, probably is like a comic book character or like a character from like a different Marvel movie, but not in like an obnoxious way, because Marvel does that sometimes where it's like, you know, like I mean, it's hard to explain, but like
suddenly Alpha Flight's in the movie, and it's like we're not even in Canada, dude. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, or like, you know, there'll be like an epilogue where, you know, Doctor Strange shows up and he's like, "Come on, me and you have to meet up with Loki and Iron Fist and save the universe," and then like credits roll. You know, it's like, but this is just like, it like kind of makes sense. Like it makes sense for Hulk to be in this movie. It makes sense for Punisher. Like all these like big characters that are in it. It makes total sense, and it's like it feels like a run of a comic. Like it doesn't necessarily feel episodic, but like it definitely feels like here's the Hulk part. Like here's this part. Like I don't know. It's like sort of hard to explain, but it's like it really just like drops you into like a world of fantasy in the way that a lot of Marvel movies don't. Like it's just like, here's the world. There's a bunch of super people, a bunch of fucking weird superheroes and mutants and dudes like the Punisher and mad scientists. And if you're not on board, fuck off. Like this is just the world. And it's like, I don't know. It's like very fun that way. Like it kind of hits what's fun about comics, I think, in a fun way.
All right. Well, and do you still feel good about your prediction? I believe it was that Spider-Man is going to make more money than the Avengers. Seems like you're sitting pretty on that right now.
Yeah, I think, I mean, unless the Avengers gets like a big bump from the fact that everybody is seeing this movie and everybody likes it, like, you know, like people are, if everyone is just like, oh, Marvel is back because of Spider-Man, like that could give Avengers a big bump perhaps. But I mean, this will be hard to beat. I mean, this is like what, the biggest opening ever, or like second, like right behind the last Avengers movie or something. So like it'll be difficult for anybody to top this, but I mean, it's possible that an Avengers movie will.
All right, well, that has been Superhero Chats for this episode of Junk Food Supper. Hope our listening base out there enjoyed it as much as I did.
I mean, are you like, I know you don't really care about Spider-Mans or anything, but are you happy that a movie has come out and made $1 billion in one weekend and is saving cinema probably alongside The Odyssey and Backrooms and Obsession? Like, are you happy that people actually go to the movies and seem to care about this kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I like and respect the practice of theatrical exhibition of films. I want that to continue at least throughout my entire life. But as you know, in terms of like these movies specifically, especially Spider-Man, I mean, this is not the kinds of movies that I want to be propping up the film industry. If that's what we need, okay, fine, we'll take it. But you would hope it would be, that there would still be room for more original content in the marketplace.
Well, I mean, Backrooms and Obsession made a bunch of money. The Odyssey is sort of original,
Yeah. So it's not all bad news, but Spider-Man, that's not the movie that thrills me in terms of like, oh wow, it's going to save cinema.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, seems like there's other folks helping out.
But yeah, I mean, money for exhibitors is good. Money for John Romita Sr. or Steve Ditko or Jack Kirby, who didn't work on Spider-Man, but you get my point. Like that would have been better.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how much those guys are seeing. This movie feels very like Ditko-esque. Like it's very like heavy is the head that wears the crown of great responsibility, which is like very, very Ditko-y. But yeah. And they went to great pains to recreate a lot of comic book covers, which was like a lot of fun.
Oh, that's cool. In terms of like they framed actual shots that way, or you mean like they had like artwork?
Yeah, like they framed shots that way. Like there's like a whole montage at the beginning where it's like, hey, I'm Spider-Man. This is what I've been up to since the last movie. I've been fighting this villain and this villain. Like a bunch of like kind of like C and D list characters. And like kind of each shot of the montage recreates like a classic cover. Like they do like
how classic are we talking? We're talking like 90s Jim Lee covers or
well, there's Amazing Fantasy 15, the very first Spider-Man appearance where he's like swinging and he's got the guy,
Sure, yeah.
They recreate that. They recreate like that McFarlane one. What is it like? It's like Spider-Man, I don't know what number, 500 or whatever. Like that classic ass McFarlane one. I think they do like, it might be like the first appearance of Scorpion, like some fun covers. I mean, they were like fun covers with like kind of C and D list bad guys, so they're not the most iconic covers in the world, like except for the number one and the McFarlane one. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's fun to see like kind of a 1-to-1 of these classic covers that you probably know like in real life.
I like that. Not at all similar, but for some reason it reminded me of. You remember in Mallrats, they had that cool opening credit montage with all I think it was Mike Allred did the comic art.
Yeah.
I feel like more movies should do that. Let's get some comic book covers in our openings.
Yeah, Orgasmo did it too.
I think Tank Girl kind of did something like that. That was fun. Had like comic book style art.
Yeah, I think so, if memory serves.
Maybe that'll become a trend. Who knows?
Yeah, but more important than Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I saw the new Greg Araki movie, I Want Your Sex.
Okay, that was two separate statements, or that was one statement together?
It was sort of a non sequitur. I want to see what your
getting flustered.
What your reaction is to both of those statements.
Yeah, it's getting real hot on this side of the phone call. Jeez.
That is the name of the new Greg Araki movie.
How was the new Greg Araki movie? And tell me about, where did you see this? Was this another scenario where you were shoulder to shoulder with a bunch of webheads?
Well, a different kind of webhead. It's a very sexy movie. So I bet a lot of these guys were jacking off.
Okay, which you call webheads.
Yeah, they're shooting webs.
Okay, not web slingers or anything. I mean, we could have worked sling, I think, into this would have been better, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're slinging jism is what I'm trying to say.
They're jizz slingers. Okay.
Yeah.
We've all been to these cinemas, sure.
Yeah.
So you were at the Pussycat.
Yeah, I'm at the porno theater. No, I had to go to Fresno, which is surprising. I figured this movie would just play in like LA and San Francisco and New York, and that would be that. Because, his last movie, White Bird in a Blizzard, we saw at the New Art. That was like the closest it ever came to me. But this movie released wide-ish and made $0, so that's a shame. But it is obviously counter-programming to Spider-Man and the Odyssey, but it's like, come on, guys, maybe wait a week, make a little more money. But it was very good. It's a very sexy movie about sex, and it's very colorful and very silly. And these are all things that I didn't think movies were allowed to do anymore. So yeah, it was exciting. It was exciting to see Greg Araki. He's one of the best. So it was very fun. It was a good movie.
Very nice. Yeah, I'm excited to check that out. I've enjoyed pretty much all of the Greg Araki that I've seen. So I will. We'll see. I mean, maybe I will get out to this, but most likely I'm just going to end up streaming it.
Just going to watch it on your phone?
Yeah, I'll probably watch it on my phone in the bathtub, while I sling some jizz.
It's a good place to watch it. I mean, there's a lot of boobies in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, and less cleanup, if you're in the bathtub. So
yeah.
These carpets are expensive, Bowman.
That's what I hear. But yeah, if it's, it made not a lot of money, so it might be done playing. But I mean, if you see it close to your house, I would say go check it out. It's worth supporting. Well,
speaking of sexy, I saw The Drama starring the very sexy and sexual Robert Pattinson and Zendaya.
Yeah, and stars of the Odyssey.
Well, yeah, stars of just about everything these days, especially Zendaya, but both of them I feel like I can't really get away from. And I thought the movie was fine. Decent. Okay, I enjoyed it, Did you see this thing?
I did. I liked it a great deal.
I liked the, first 2/3 okay. I thought it was it had some... I guess we're still in a point now where we don't talk about what the main plot of this is, I guess, maybe. Who knows? But yeah, I thought it had some interesting subject matter,
Yeah, it's a weird movie because the entire premise is a spoiler alert. Is a spoiler. It's a weird, hard movie to talk about, and probably was a hard movie to market. But yeah, it's just to say anything about it is kind of a spoiler.
Well, and credit to them, they somehow pulled that off, because I feel like I went into this movie not really knowing what the subject matter was specifically. I mean, I kind of knew the general setup of there's a couple, they're engaged, and they find out something about somebody's past that makes it more complicated. And, again, I thought everything in the first 2/3, while sort of lightweight and it had a lot more questions than it had answers or follow up on those questions. It seemed to just want to kind of pose concepts without really fully exploring them. Still liked it, but then, I feel like from the wedding scene onwards, I'm like, wow, this movie had no idea what to do, and it just kind of all crumbles pretty quickly.
Yeah, I definitely think the climax is the weakest part. I mean, there is a lot of payoff to kind of ongoing jokey storylines that I think works and is fun, but yeah, it doesn't wrap up super satisfyingly, especially I don't know. Yeah, it's a tricky movie because it's sort of just asking the question that the movie asks is the most important part. So the fact that the movie has to answer it in some way with the characters, it's just yeah, I don't know. Maybe it would have been better to just leave it more open-ended or something, but I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think the performances are good. I think I'm a Robert Pattinson fan now after this movie.
Oh, good.
So, and I mean, yeah, Zendaya's always good. So yeah, I think it's very good. It'll probably be somewhere around on my top 10 list by the end of the year, I'm sure.
And
I liked it a good deal.
It's also one of those movies where, the thing I like about it is the fact if you see this with somebody else, guaranteed you have a conversation afterwards, there's something to talk about. So, and that's not always the case. Sometimes you see a movie and you're like, okay, all right, cool. We watched that, that was Cannonball Run 2 or whatever, big deal. But, in the case of, The Drama, it's oh yeah, well, what if this did happen to you? And I think probably the sane take that I would imagine everybody would have would be nearly everybody in this movie is completely overreacting to something that they shouldn't overreact to. But
I mean, Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I feel like, I mean, this is not the way I would act, but I would think that a lot of people out there would act the way that these characters act about this.
I mean, I'm not saying that it's unrealistic, but
Yeah. Well, I mean,
think,
yeah.
I think the reactions are illogical.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. It's like a satire. It's like a farce. So, I mean, that part of it, yeah, like should be illogical to some degree, but I definitely think that people would react emotionally. Like maybe not like actually the way, like literally the way these people do, but I feel like if you told someone the thing that they confess to in this movie, like to like a group of people, I bet people would be very emotional about it.
All right, well, I have no intent to make that confession. You can't pin this on me, Bowman.
I was trying to sneak it out of you, trying to get it out of you.
No,
But,
not today.
One of the things that you can talk about this movie is why is Alana Haim the worst character?
What do you mean worst character? You don't like her performance, or you don't like?
No, I love her. I love her performance, but without giving too much away, like the thing she does is so much worse.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. But it's played off like as nothing, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's like, yeah, like I mean, well, asking that question, I think who did the worst thing in this movie is a good question, and then also it's just so funny, like in the context of the movie, that her thing is just like, yeah, whatever, it's like hand waved away.
Yeah, she's
Which
good,
I mean,
though.
which I think would be like, I feel like people in 2026 would be more mad about the other thing, but I don't know. But yeah, it's a fun movie. Did you see anything else?
I did want to shout out real quick Tomboy from 1985. You know about Tomboy?
Yeah, that Chris Farley movie.
Exactly, yeah. Tomboy with Chris Farley and David Spade. No, Tomboy with Betsy Russell, who I guess is known these days from the Saw movies, but she's in a bunch of like 80s horror movies and sex comedies and stuff. And Christy Summers from Savage Streets and Frogtown. It's basically, it's a mid-80s. I guess I would call it a sex comedy because there's like probably 50 nude scenes in this. Like it's just full of nudity nonstop. And it is a comedy, but it's a weird blend of like trying to be a female empowerment kind of thing in 1985, but not really knowing how to do that because you're, a movie made all by 50-year-old men. But it's got a lot of great location shooting in East LA and like neighborhoods that I like to see on screen that I never get to see on screen. And it's got like pretty much every hallmark of an 80s movie. Like there's an aerobic scene. People are racing dirt bikes around. You get all these cool 80s muscle cars and stuff. And it's just a real slice of 85. So not a great movie, but a fun watch.
Yeah, I have always wanted to watch this. Like, I feel like this was like a big like tape that I would always see as a kid in the video store, and never watched. But I always remember that box art. And Betsy Russell's good. I like her in the Saw movies. She's in like Cheerleader Camp, that slasher movie we did a million years ago.
Yeah.
She's popped up on the show a few times over the years. And she's always good. So yeah, I would check that movie out.
Yeah, and on the nudity front with Christy Summers, if you ever wanted to see on screen the way that they hide actors' genitals with tape, it's on full display in this movie. I don't know, like I guess the DP must have screwed up, or I don't know who's to blame on this, but they framed the shots with her nude completely wrong. I guess maybe they were planning to like mat it out or whatever, but you just see like, oh yeah, on her lower body, instead of wearing, she could have been wearing a swimsuit into the school shower. That would have been fine, would have made sense. But no, she's wearing like all this weird flesh colored tape obscuring her crotch.
Well, I mean, that's what I wear to go to the shower a lot of the time.
Well, then you'll feel completely at home watching Tomboy.
Perfect.
But no, that was the big excitement in my week, Bowman. Catching a glimpse of that crotch-obscuring tape in Tomboy.
Okay. Well, tell me if you would catch a glimpse of this. This segment that we've got.
Oh.
As you know, we'll be talking about a movie that is part wrestling, part drama later when we talk about Flesh.
Yeah.
So I was thinking to myself, like, we'll talk about whether or not the wrestling parts and the drama parts mix together well in that movie. But I was thinking, like, what other drama movies out there would be, would be made better if they were about wrestling rather than whatever it is that they're actually about. Like, I have a for example here, an honorary mention, for example. Hopefully it doesn't step on your list. I'll feel really bad if it does. But like, for example, like Full Metal Jacket is a movie where people train to go to Vietnam. But what if instead it was like about the WCW power plant and it's about people training to be wrestlers, You got Arlie Ermy yelling at people. He plays Hugh Morris,
Yeah, okay. This is quite a stretch here. I mean, I don't really see the theoretical movie that you're making as really being all that connected to Apocalypse Now. Or Full Metal Jacket, for that matter.
Well, I mean, exactly. Like, I'm saying, like these drama movies, instead of being about stupid shit like the Vietnam War, they're about wrestling. And would they be better?
Okay.
So you're saying Full Metal Jacket would be not better.
The way that I would have pitched this theoretical example that's not on my list, not on your list, and will not be considered as one of our pitches, would be like, what if they were in the army, they went over there to Vietnam, they're fighting the war, but on the weekends, they're putting on a wrestling show for the locals,
Okay. Like, Monday through Friday, they're like out there, like,
yeah, they're fighting the Viet Cong, alongside their whatever the other side of the war was called. What do we get? We got the Viet Cong, and then the other side's what? Just the Vietnamese? What do we call them?
I think so.
Okay, so our Vietnamese brethren are fighting alongside us, and then we blow off some steam on Sundays. Saturday is a day of rest. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, that's true. So, like, Joker, who's Matthew Modine's character, like, he would come out as like a Doink the Clown type of a character. Yeah,
I could see that. Yeah, that would make sense. There's fans that love the show long time and all that,
Of course.
Adoring fans, we'll say. But anyways, none of this matters because we're not pitching this. Doesn't make any sense. Who would watch that? Nobody's watching that. Although I probably would watch that.
Yeah, possibly no one would watch that. But yeah, that's hypothetically that's one. But here's my real one. Here's my first real one.
Okay.
The movie 12 Angry Men?
Oh yeah. Yeah, about the trial and the jury, and they're cooped up in a room. We never leave that room, Bowman.
That's true. You never leave that room. It's these 12 angry jurors trying to get to the bottom of whether or not somebody killed another person, And you can't leave until there's a consensus.
Yeah.
So I think that movie would be better if it was about wrestling.
Okay. All right. And I'm curious to see how you're going to link it to wrestling, because I think there's a really good way to do this.
Well, maybe my way will be different from yours, but I think it would be great if these 12 angry men were all writers and bookers of the show, And they're all trying to figure out, who's going over tonight? Is it John Moxley or is it Orange Cassidy?
That's gonna be Moxley. Come on, dude. Pockets.
I don't know. Don't you want to? Yeah, you got to push the young guy, the young kid.
Young? He's like 48 years old. He's probably a year younger than Moxley.
I don't know. We can change Orange Cassidy to Hook or somebody like this if you want to. But yeah, so they're in there, they're arguing, and it's just the whole time, 90 minutes arguing over, do we push this guy? What if we have a run-in? What if we got a dusty finish?
Isn't this just WWE Unreal?
Kind of. Yeah,
I think you're just pitching an existing Netflix show.
But this would be dramatic and scripted, you know? It would be like with good actors and stuff, not just Michael P.S. Hayes shitting on people.
Okay, so we get like Mickey Rourke and guys like this to show up and play Michael Hayes.
Yeah, or like characters like Michael Hayes. This isn't not a biopic necessarily.
Oh, really? So we're not going to use real licensed wrestler names?
No, that way we can tell the truth. You know, it doesn't have to be this WWE version of the truth. Like,
okay, so instead of Vince Russo, it's going to be Vic Venom.
Yeah, exactly. It's stuff like that. Yeah, dirty highways instead of dusty roads. Guys like this.
Okay. I thought you were going to go the direction of let's do a 12 Angry Men that takes place in the locker room in San Juan, Puerto Rico, the moment after Bruiser Brody is stabbed to death.
That would also be a really good movie.
I mean, to this day, still a technically unsolved murder.
Yeah.
In the wrestling world. I mean, we all know who murdered Owen Hart. I guess that would be the only other one that would be interesting is, you know, if we had a 12 Angry Men where we're trying to prove that Vince was complicit in severing the cable. But I think it's in better taste if we go the Bruiser Brody direction.
I agree. Yeah. And you get a more compelling setting, you know?
Yeah.
Puerto Rico.
And you get Abdullah the Butcher, you know, who's still living, right? So maybe he'll just play himself.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be good. That would be a compelling movie. Who are you getting to play Bruiser Brody, though?
Now, that's a good question. I mean, I guess there's... who's that guy that tag teams with Brian Cage in AEW? You know that guy?
Oh, I don't know him, but I don't think he's from the 559 the way that...
Oh, Brian Cage is from the 559? Is that why he was up there?
Yeah, he's from the 559. That's how it all started. I think that's part of his like entrance that the announcer says from the 559, which is how I became from the 559 on the show.
Oh, I thought you were just trying to make a tribute to Rey Mysterio being from the 619. I didn't know that other wrestlers were repping their area codes.
Yeah.
Well, this is of no help. When I Google search Brian Cage's AEW partner, I just get his wife. Come on, that's not his AEW partner.
Yeah.
Who would you cast as Bruiser Brody?
You know, if I'm a producer and I get a little sway in the matter, I'm obviously going to go with Corey Feldman.
Okay. You think he can pull it off? I
mean, he's a great actor. There's nothing he can't pull off.
So I have a hard time believing this.
What about you? What kind of movie are you pitching out here?
All right, well, my initial pitch is, well, it was mentioned before, so I'll just mention it again, Cannonball Run 2, but with wrestlers. And I guess it could just be Cannonball Run 1, because why not? But why don't we get a movie going where we have a fun cross-country race that's got a lot of room for a lot of colorful characters, and every single one of them is portrayed by a different wrestler from the rock and wrestling era of wrestling, you know? And maybe there's one role for Cyndi Lauper or something, but mostly it's going to be your Captain Lou's, you know, maybe a Dusty Rhodes with that funny polka dot costume that he had back then. Your Junkyard Dogs. All these guys, both in the race and being encountered on the road.
Okay. I like the sound of this. This is like, very rock and wrestling. Very like, and these guys I assume are like in character. So like,
yeah, they're in character. They're playing. You see Hillbilly Jim on the side of the road. He is Hillbilly Jim. He's not Hillbilly Jim as Country Bumpkin. No, he's playing himself.
All right. So the Undertaker's like in a hearse.
Yeah.
Austin's in like, you know, like a monster truck. We got Kurt Angle driving.
You're looking at Attitude Era, not rock and wrestling.
I mean, I was thinking it could just be whoever, but yeah, I mean, if you
I'm thinking Cannonball Run 2 came out in what, 82 or something?
Yeah.
I'm thinking we set it in 82 or something.
All right.
I'm thinking it's King Kong Bundy, you know?
Okay. There's a lot less interesting cars in 82.
That can't be true.
I mean, I don't know. In terms of how they connected to wrestlers, I guess.
Just call up the guy that did the cars for Death Race 2000. Was it George Barris? I think his name was. Get him to come up with some wacky racer type vehicles for you.
Yeah, I think the Mouth of the South Jimmy Hart had like a good car at one point, like a convertible. Like, yeah, he's got one built in.
Yeah, but it is true. Like most of the wrestlers, like you just see like the fabulous Freebirds, and they'd just be driving like a Lincoln or something at best.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the Four Horsemen would probably have a good car. Not that they were in rock and wrestling, but like, yeah, the $1 Million Man. He's out there with a limo. Virgil's driving. Yeah, some of these guys lend themselves to fun cars.
Plus, I mean, if when in doubt, just go ethnic. Tito Santana just drives a giant sombrero. It's rock and wrestling.
I thought you were gonna say like a lowrider or something. But yeah.
No, a giant sombrero.
That
makes
would
a lot
be
more
very
sense. Or a tamale. It could be a tamale with wheels.
Yeah, that would work. It was the 80s, so it was a different time. Yeah, I'd watch that movie.
Certainly, it would be more fun than the actual Cannonball Run 2, where the cast of characters was just a letdown compared to the previous movie.
Wow. Shots fired at Telly Savalas, I guess.
Okay.
Well, I've got a movie for you here. Did you ever see... Well, surely you've seen the Airplane movies.
Well, don't call me Shirley, but yes.
All right, so have you seen any of the airport movies? We might have done one on the show, maybe.
I don't think so, actually.
Okay, maybe I've just always meant to do them on the show. But the Airplane movies are based on this and have outlived a series of movies called Airport, where in every movie you get a cast of characters who are on a plane, and then they get hijacked, or there's like a storm, or there's like a nuclear war, some crazy shit happens, and these people have to deal with it.
Or their flight just gets canceled, and they got to wait for the next one.
Yeah, some of the sequels were pretty boring.
The Dunkin' Donuts closed early, and there's nothing to eat.
Yeah. So I say we get an airport movie, perhaps the first airport movie, and we do a dramatic retelling of that Flight from Hell.
Okay.
2002 or whenever it was. You're familiar with the Flight from Hell?
Yeah, of course.
This
the
is
one where Ric Flair, I believe, got drunk enough to remove all of his clothes and try and screw all of the stewardesses on that one rather than just a few.
Yeah. He got in trouble for that one. He's walking around naked. Brock Lesnar and Mr. Perfect are like doing college wrestling, like in the aisles, like these two, like 800 pounds of men in this tiny little like jet in the air, like wrestling and throwing each other up against the walls and stuff like this. There was some other crazy stuff going on, and like everybody's drunk, everybody's high. I think Vince McMahon is there with like his 19-year-old daughter. Maybe she's on the plane. Like crazy stuff is happening on this flight. So I would just like a dramatic retelling of this incredible moment in wrestling history. I think it would be fun. What do you think?
I think it's a good idea. I'm concerned with like how do we structure it? Like what is the arc of this? Because it feels like it's just kind of pandemonium and then the flight's over, right? But like, is there room for character development? Does anybody learn a lesson, come to know more about themselves, etc.?
Oh, very much so. Okay, so here's some of the other stuff that happened on this amazing thing. This happened. These guys were on the way back from the UK. So this is an international flight over the water, like very long flight, probably like an 8-hour flight. These people are going crazy. Brock Lesnar and Mr. Perfect, like I said, were fighting, wrestling, play grab-assing. Like you mentioned, Ric Flair allegedly walked around only in his robe, exposing himself to flight attendants. Scott Hall reportedly harassed flight attendants and was highly intoxicated.
No, you don't say that Scott Hall was intoxicated. I can't believe this.
The aforementioned Michael Hayes was allegedly knocked out by JBL after an altercation. So JBL, I would actually get. I would have Corey Feldman play him. I think he would do a good job.
Sure.
And to your point about like growth and story arcs and stuff, Dustin Rhodes, aka Goldust, reportedly grabbed a microphone and sang a love song to his ex-wife Terry while acting erratically. I think that could be. That's like the big dramatic hook of the movie, probably.
Okay. What do you think, though, about maybe actually framing it from the point of view of a non-wrestler? Like maybe Stephanie is the right focal point. You know, it's about her and maybe her, misunderstandings about how heroic these men are. So maybe she learns to maybe distance herself from these creeps or something. I don't know.
I think it could be told from the point of view of that flight attendant that sued Ric Flair.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, okay, yeah.
She just goes into work one day. She's just trying to feed her kids, trying to go to work, thinks she's going to hang out with some fun like celebrities, and then she's being forced to look at Ric Flair's wrinkly old dick all night.
All right. I like it.
All right. I'm glad. What's your next one?
My next one is about to be revealed, but by the way, I did want to just mention Jake Doyle is the guy that I was trying to pull before. Brian Cage's tag team partner, Jake Doyle.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Kind of looks a little bit like a bruiser. I don't know, he's got the right kind of wild man sort of look. But my next movie is Mermaid Legend, the very recently reviewed on Junk Food Dinner movie, Mermaid Legend. That was about a Japanese woman who got mixed up in kind of revenge fantasy sort of situation where she had to kill a whole bunch of land developers or nuclear power plant executives or something because they killed her husband, who was maybe slightly thinking about interfering with their plans to develop the Japanese coastline or whatever. But in my version, that is wrestling based, it's all about the Montreal Screwjob and, Bret Hart getting his revenge against the evil Federation, and so we'll have a lot of room for him to go on, super bloody tirades through backstage areas where he's just slashing dudes and snapping limbs off, giving guys the sharpshooter to the point where he rips their actual legs off and then starts using those legs to club other wrestlers in the face. We see the moment where, Vince McMahon gets decked by Bret Hart, but in this case, he's getting decked in the face by a limb of another wrestler that Bret Hart has ripped off. And it will just be the bloodiest possible revenge saga for the Hitman, appropriately named in this case.
I like this a great deal. The Hitman, actually being a hitman. Like, it was always weird to me as a kid. Like, he was like a good guy, but his name's the Hitman. It's like, what are you doing? He's supposed to be a nice guy handing out your sunglasses. You're not a murderer. But I like the idea of him actually going around, actually doing hits on people, killing HBK in the climax, and probably Bill Goldberg as well.
Sure, why not?
Maybe you get like a flashback scene with him and like being trained by Owen, having like a nice brotherly flashback scene at some point. I like that idea.
Yeah, there's room for Mick Foley in the story to come in and try and calm things down. He tries to play liaison or something.
Yeah, I like that. Played, of course, by Corey Feldman.
Well, of course. I mean, I thought that was a given at this point.
Yeah, I think he would do a good job. He's a good actor.
I feel like there's always these 80s and 90s action movies where you've got, the villain and then his number one and number two henchmen. Half the time, those guys are already pro wrestlers. So let's just make the movie where, they are pro wrestlers. We get all these cheesy 80s, 90s action movie type scenes with a ton of blood And, maybe Val Venus is one of the guys.
Yeah. And they could choppy his pee-pee.
I think we should save something for the sequel, though.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I like the sound of that. Yeah, this would be
There's a whole gauntlet of guys that Bret Hart's going to get through on his way to Vince's office. You know what I mean? He's going all the way up Titan Towers. It's like that one, was it a King of the Ring or something, where they had a match where you had to go through Titan Towers?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the Raid. But
yeah
with Bret Hart just doing sharpshooters and like backbreakers to dudes.
Yeah.
Hitting him with that little elbow. The first
floor is all the undercard talent. He works his way up the levels. It's mid-card. Gets to the main eventers right before Vince. The structure is there.
Man, this is... Man, all right. This movie I really wished existed. This is the best one so far. I like this one.
All right, well, what do you got for your next wrestling movie?
Well, this is an idea I've got. You've seen the movie The King of Comedy, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, of course.
This is a movie where Robert De Niro, he's an aspiring comedian. He becomes obsessed with a late night guy, sort of a Johnny Carson type. Wants to meet him, starts stalking him around. Becomes obsessed with this guy. Thinks that meeting him will solve all of his problems and stuff. I think if we replaced Robert De Niro with a guy like Danhausen, and then replace what's his name? The Hello Lady guy, always hanging out with Dean Martin. Jerry Lewis. Replace Jerry Lewis with like a CM Punk. Danhausen really just wants to become friends with CM Punk, become a wrestler just like CM Punk, going around cursing people. I think that, that could be a very entertaining movie. What do you think about this one?
Despite my very public dislike of CM Punk, I think he is the right casting for this movie. I think he could pull off that kind of, Jerry Lewis is like very unlikable in that movie. He's very like self-centered and dismissive of Rupert Pupkin. Mm-hmm. And I could see CM Punk pulling this off, very well. I do wonder if we might have to introduce like the angle of Danhausen being disappointed in CM Punk for, backing down on his promises regarding Saudi Arabia, selling out, all this. Yeah. Maybe that's where there's kind of that love loss, and Danhausen kind of has his image of CM Punk shattered, when he discovers that CM Punk is in fact a sellout.
Yeah, I think that could be like kind of like the Sandra Bernhard role. Like maybe get like AJ Lee in that role, and like she gives Danhausen the information that CM Punk is a hypocrite.
Yeah, that he's going to be main eventing Riyadh or whatever.
Yeah, and then that's when Danhausen starts cursing.
I like it.
People giving CM Punk a curse.
I like it. I think that actually would work. And, there's those scenes in King of Comedy of De Niro and his like homemade Tonight Show set. I could see, right now I can visualize Danhausen in a slightly crummy, knockoff of the Tonight Show set, doing his thing down there in a basement, completely deluded and thinking that he's broadcasting to the world.
Yeah. I think so. You got his mom yelling down to the basement, much like, one of his like weird dancing lady Danhausens or something. Like there's roles in there for them. But I think that could work. But what's your last one? You got one left, right?
Yeah, well, my third movie is a little movie that you maybe have never heard of, and is actually a drama, unlike the other two. It's Ladybug. This is a Frank Perry movie that, again, maybe you've never heard of, but it's about...
I don't know about this.
It's about Cold War fears and the threat of nuclear holocaust. And, in that movie, basically a signal is given via some sort of I don't know, like radio type device that, hey, the bomb is coming. For, you know, the school at which this story takes place gets the alert that the bomb is coming. And it's just kind of all about, well, how do we respond and what would we do and what do we value in these last potential moments of our life? Let's do the same thing, but backstage at a wrestling show in, I don't know, let's say the movie is what, in the early 60s? The problem is I don't know any wrestlers from the early 60s, so I don't want to set it there in a period where the only reference I could make would be Gorgeous George. So let's just put it in the rock and wrestling era, where I feel most comfortable, and have the threat of nuclear apocalypse reach backstage, I don't know, at Madison Square Garden in 1983 or something. How would people respond, you know? How would they take it?
Yeah. I mean, I imagine that whatever the main event is, because I mean, it's Madison Square Garden. These people care about wrestling. Like, it would be fun to see
who stays, who goes.
Who stays and who goes.
Yeah, you gonna stick around for the show?
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, is there's enough time to enjoy the show. It's a guarantee of like, look, the bomb's going to be here in 3 hours. We got a 2 hour and 45-minute show booked for you. It's going to be a great show. You want to stay and watch it? More than welcome to. And also you can explore, like, how do the wrestlers react? Do they give it their all, you know? Are we seeing a ton of blade jobs in the matches because everybody's like, this is my last chance to get color, you know?
Yeah. Do we see a wrestler who's just like, like finger poke of doom me? I don't care.
Yeah.
And then, like, the other guy is like, what do you got to take the art seriously.
The one guy is putting over the other guy that he would never put over in his entire career. But it's like, you know what? This is my final chance. I'm going to do you a solid, you know, I'll give you that 3 count you've been looking for.
Yeah. Some kid like X-Pac's going to win the heavyweight belt tonight.
Oh, man. Imagine the title changes if the bomb was coming.
Yeah.
Probably every belt changes hands that night.
Probably. Except for whichever one Hogan has. He's not.
No.
He's not jobbing out.
He's barely going to work the show. It's going to be a 4-minute squash.
Yeah. The newsman comes on and he's like, we got a nuclear bomb dropping. And Hogan says, that's not going to work for me, brother. I don't like that finish.
But yeah, there you go. Those are movies that would be better if they were about wrestling.
This is the worst picture ever made.
I don't think that's true.
These movies would all be better.
I actually would watch, I think, all of them. All 6. Let's make it a theme show.
Yeah. Somebody out there make these movies. Jackson, make one of these movies, for God's sake.
Yeah. Yeah, at least one.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you guys want to tell us about any movies you want to make or any wrestling movies that you think would be, or drama movies that would be better if they were wrestling movies, let us know by calling 347-746-JUNK. That's 347-746-5865, or go to facebook.com/junkfoodinner. Hit the call now button, or let us know in the Discord, or email us at jftpodcast@gmail.com. But until then, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about a drama movie that is a wrestling movie called Flesh. So stick around.
Very nicely done.
Why, thank you. Thank you. I apologize. I forgot that it was your episode.
I appreciate the coverage.
Danke. Schönes, frisches, kaltes Bier, Herr Herrmann. Eisrig frisch aus dem Eiskeller. Schönes, kaltes Radler für unseren Pollerkreis. Und eine schöne, kalte Abreibung. Aber nämlich Bier so.
Das ist gut.
Oh, danke. Ja, danke.
Nicht sehr dankbar. Oh, das ist gut.
Welcome back to Junk Food Supper. The movie on the show this week is Flesh from 1932. As we mentioned before, a very old movie, directed by John Ford in this case. A pretty legendary director, I would say. A guy that did Stagecoach, The Searchers, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, a bunch of other famous Westerns and non-Westerns alike. This, however, is, I think, his least seen film, except for the silence that he did before this, which I find kind of surprising, considering the wrestling angle you would think would provide some kind of a hook for audiences, right?
Yeah, you would think so. I mean, I don't know, maybe, this is the 30s. Maybe wrestling was just made for like people at county fairs or something at the time. Although county fairs were probably pretty popular too. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, and the Letterboxd view
You
count
mean people
is
nowadays.
Yeah, it's his least viewed movie, and the Letterboxd view count is not based on 1930s attendance, as far as I know.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I thought maybe you were remarking that this movie was a terrible bomb at the time, but like, it is easily findable on YouTube and stuff. So yeah, you would think maybe the wrestling thing or the being set in Germany right before World War II thing, or there would be some sort of a hook for modern day audiences.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I guess it doesn't have the star power. At least, these names in this film today don't really command too much attention. But I think at the time, Wallace Beery was very famous. So who knows? I think maybe one of the reasons people don't know this movie or talk about this as much now is John Ford actually removed his name from it, at least sort of. He removed his name from it as director, but the credits still bear his name as producer. So I don't know if he couldn't do it or he forgot to do it or what the deal is, but he was apparently so dissatisfied with it that he didn't want to get directing credit, but his name is still like the first name that you see in the credits as producer, so that's kind of weird.
Yeah, that is odd. I wonder if it's like, it's probably easier to get your name taken off as director than producer, maybe. I don't know what yeah,
there might have been guild rules, although who knows in the 30s. I don't know if we had rules like that back then, who knows, but these days it doesn't really matter because the guy's dead, and I guess, once you die, you don't have the right of refusal anymore on attribution. So just about every website out there is, lists this under his directorial credits. So people know that this is him. And I would say that people should seek this out, but let's talk a little bit about the plot. Like you mentioned, this is set initially in Germany, right before the Second World War. An American woman named Laura, played by Karen Morley, who you might recognize from Scarface and other movies of this time. She gets released from jail because she's pregnant, I guess. And they're like, we can't have a pregnant lady in this jail. We don't know how to deal with that. I guess a little bit counter to Germany's policy on incarceration just a few years later. But anywho, she gets out of jail. But before she leaves, she assures her boyfriend and fellow American convict, Nikki, played by Ricardo Cortez, that she is going to wait for him, that once you get out of jail, we're going to get back together. Or maybe she even says, I'm going to help you get out of jail, and then we'll be back together. Anyways, he's stuck in the clink while she gets out. Meanwhile, there's a German wrestler named Wladek, played by the aforementioned Wallace Beery, he's like kind of at a low level, I guess. He's working at this beer hall as a waiter, but he's also a wrestler there at the beer hall, like entertaining the patrons. People love him. He seems to be very popular, and he's on his way to becoming the national champion of Germany. Anyhow, Laura has a plan to meet up with one of her criminal cohorts at this beer hall, but it falls through, and so as a result, she is unable to pay her bill at this beer hall, and it kind of gets into a scenario where the owner of the place wants to call the cops on her, and Wladek, this sweet but maybe slow wrestler, is like, I can pay your bill for you, don't worry about it. And in fact, if you need a place to stay with me, which she does. And you can kind of foresee where this goes. There's some romance between the wrestler and this ex-con lady, and then complications when her convict boyfriend, Nikki, arrives back in the picture. It all sort of leads to the OG Montreal screw job, and that's sort of the shape of it. And like I said, I think people should see this movie. I like this movie. I'm not going to say that it's the greatest movie of all time, but I was entertained. My least favorite parts were probably the parts in Germany. I feel like before the war, Hollywood had like a real fascination with Europe, and like a good third of the movies we were making back then had some kind of a European bent to them. And I think that can be fun when it feels legitimate. You know, like when you get a Fritz Lang, or, you know, you get a European director to come over and give you a little taste of their homeland. That can be fun, but I don't know how much John Ford had ever even heard of Europe based on his depiction here, because Germany just feels kind of lifeless and dull as a setting, unfortunately. And there are these bits where they like start talking in German for extended periods that I think were intended to be humorous, but didn't really fully play for me. A part of that maybe was the aforementioned bad sound recording, because a lot of the dialogue in this is not recorded with the best fidelity, which is sad to say. I mean, in 1932, I guess sound recording was semi-new, but I feel like I've seen plenty of movies from 32 where you can completely understand what people are saying, but that's not, unfortunately, the case here. So that was definitely a downside, but the cast was pretty good. I liked Wallace Beery as the wrestler. He's very empathetic. I feel like maybe Mickey Rourke watched this movie when he played the wrestler. Ricardo Cortez as the douchebag boyfriend, I thought was perfectly cast. He's doing some real mustache twirling type stuff in this, but he's very believable and very menacing. The female lead, Karen Morley, was fine. I think maybe that role could have been cast differently, maybe like a Joan Blondell type or somebody like that, but she was fine. And if you look at her Wikipedia, she actually turned out to be kind of a hero later on politically. So she's cool. But yeah, the highlight here is definitely the wrestling. You know, there's not a ton of it, but I would say that there's more than enough that you won't be asking for your money back. And any amount of 1932 wrestling footage is kind of gold, you know, especially when it's shot by professional cameramen. And these aren't like real shows or anything, but it looks and feels like they probably based it pretty closely on the real thing. So you get these Hollywood recreations of small wrestling shows at the Beer Garden, big wrestling shows at some arena in New York. You get some training and some backstage wrestling action as well, like these little like practice rings and stuff like that. So it's, you know, fun to see that stuff, and fun just to see how little has changed in terms of the basics of pro wrestling. You know, like the ring's a little bit different, the ropes are a little bit low, and the turnbuckles are real tiny. But for the most part, you know, this is like the wrestling that it is been for our entire lives. You know, heels are doing eye rakes and playing to the crowd and pulling tights and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of the maneuvers are maneuvers that you still see today. Like Polakai, his big move is he does a giant swing on his opponents into the crowd, which is not a bad move for the day, I would say. It looked pretty devastating. And speaking of the crowds, you get to see, you know, people dressed up to the nines at these wrestling events. It's fun to see people with inner coats and outer coats and tails and pocket watches and top hats watching wrestling, you know, which I guess is how it really was. It's also kind of wild that they come right out and in this movie have the booker tell the wrestler and, you know, the audience that the matches are fixed, that it's all a ruse, you know, which I would think would have been surprising for 1932, right?
Yeah, you would think so. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe people just like forgot about this by the time the 70s rolled around, or like maybe nobody cared. I don't know. Kind of weird.
Yeah. But you do get a sense in this movie of how big wrestling was in 1932. Like, there's a scene at the airport when Polakai arrives, and it's like Beatlemania. People are going nuts for this guy. And I think that's something that people have maybe forgotten these days, or at least most people have forgotten. And I think Jim Cornette is maybe the only guy that I know that talks about how popular 1930s wrestling was. He's always talking about Jim Londos, the Golden Greek, and how the guy sold out a run of baseball stadiums. I think he sold out Wrigley Field and stuff like this. So it was big, and it was a major feature of American culture at the time. And despite that, there's not a ton of movies about it. I feel like there's a lot more movies about boxing than wrestling, even in the 30s when it was so popular. So I love to see all of that stuff. I love to also see how melodrama is basically the same now as it's always been. All of the basic structure and beats of a melodrama like this seem to get recycled through the decades. You can find pretty much the same plot that this movie has in TV soap operas of the 1960s or Lifetime movies of the 1980s or Korean dramas of today that my wife streams on Disney Plus. And it's fun to see. Yeah, some things are just kind of classic structures and classic plots that will appeal to people no matter what point in the time-space continuum they might find themselves. So I had a good time with this. And I think if this is the worst movie that you ever made, which based on its lack of awareness and based on the fact that this, I think, is the only movie that John Ford took his name off of, if this is the worst movie you ever made, and you made like 100 movies like Homeboy did, I think you must be some kind of freaking genius movie maker, because this wasn't bad. I thought it was entertaining. But what did you think about Flesh?
Well, I was excited to watch it because it's about wrestling. And, I've never seen a John Ford, so I was excited for that too.
Might as well start at his least famous movie of all time.
Yeah. It's a good, I like to work my way up, and it starts out fun enough, like wrestler guy, carrying around like a keg on his shoulder and giving people little sips and stuff. Like that stuff was silly and fun. Although, yeah, this is like, being 1933, you're not getting any like big on location stuff at the Oktoberfest or whatever it is. They use some specific word for what this event is, but I forget it now. But the beer garden, which I was surprised that they had beer gardens back in these days. And that was the term for it. There's nothing like on location, so it's obviously just like a little tiny set with like 7 people, and like that's like the beer garden. So like, but that goes with the territory for being a 1933 movie. But like like you were saying, like get some local flavor in there. Like actually film this somewhere. Like, but I don't know. I guess that's just not how 1933 worked. So, although I guess Frankenstein has a scene at like an actual pond that they throw a kid into. Like,
it's definitely backlot, but it might even still be interior studio work for that pond.
Yeah, it's possible. It's been a while since I've seen it, but yeah. I don't know. But yeah, like that stuff's just sort of disappointing for movies of this time, I guess. Especially like, it's not so bad when it's like a horror movie because you can light them real moody and, decorate a set to look like a castle and stuff like that. But like this is just like, oh, I see that that's not real. And I see that it's like, well, not even like, well lit. It's just sort of like flatly lit and it just looks like a play kind of stuff. But
and beyond just like the set dressing, it just doesn't feel like there's much German about it other than people have like a dumb German accent. And they're at, I guess, technically a beer garden or whatever. But I don't know. I feel like if you had a German guy at the helm, there would be a more inherently German feeling to it, The camera angles would be more obscure and things like this.
Yeah. I think John Ford doesn't care about Germany really. Like
if you take the same story and he's just a hick from Minnesota or something, or anywhere from Texas or whatever, and she's from the big city, same movie, and I think it might be better because I think it might speak more to Ford's strengths.
Yeah. This is like pretty early into the rise of Nazi Germany, so I don't know like how much anybody was thinking to critique the Nazis or whatever, but I mean,
But that's not a part of this really at all, I don't think, right?
yeah, it's definitely not a part of this, but like, I mean, it could have been subtext maybe, but like, yeah, not, I mean, like that doesn't play into the movie at all, but like, I'm just wondering if like, I mean, like there's certainly like an aspect where John Ford is like, look at this German guy, he's not like us, like he's, you know, he's so strong he can carry kegs around on his shoulders, and he's like very stupid and he's violent, like, so there is a part where like, I mean, I guess like maybe that's why they set this in Germany rather than Texas, so that they can kind of properly like make this guy be foreign guy, you know?
But it's weird when you consider like, I mean, he is the hero of the picture, and
Yeah.
almost to a fault, he is a good guy, and everybody else in this movie is a bad guy. So that's kind of weird when all the Americans in this are evil and the one German is a good guy.
Yeah.
We're about to launch into a war with that. I don't know what he's trying to say, but
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he probably didn't know that they were going to go to war for another 6 years after this or whatever. But like, yeah, it is a weird, yeah, it's weird to make this guy so other, so foreign, but also the hero. I don't know I don't know what the thinking is there, but I mean, or I mean, I don't know, maybe that's the thinking itself. Like, I mean, just like, you know, people were purer. I mean, well, I like maybe that's the wrong word to use since we're talking about Germans in the 30s, but like, you know, like the simpler old world ancestors of our are in some way less evil or something. I got no idea what the subtext is here, even if there even is any. I mean, I don't know, who knows, maybe he just pointed to a country on the map and was like, yeah, German, he's German, who cares?
It's also surprising just in terms of like, I don't typically think of Germany as a top tier wrestling country. I know that things have changed in recent decades. You know, you got your Gunthers, and there's some promotions over there that have produced talents or whatever. But historically, I mean, I was always thinking like maybe England or of course Japan or Mexico, Canada, but Germany is like, okay, all right, that's what you chose. All right.
Yeah. I don't know what that's about. I mean, there must have been like some American guy at the time in the 30s, like pretending to be German, like that they're riffing
all
on
the ethnicities. I'm sure there was a German guy.
Yeah, so maybe that's just like what they're riffing on is like some well-known guy that we don't know about. But I mean, yeah, I'm certain that was probably a thing either way. But like, but yeah, the guy's fine. Like he's cutesy. You know, the story of this lady getting out of prison because she's pregnant is like pretty wild. This is pre-code. I'm certain. I didn't look it up, but yeah, it has to be.
Yeah, you've got a pregnant woman committing adultery repeatedly in this movie while pregnant. Yeah. So I mean, that's very pre-code. Pretty
saucy stuff.
Yeah, kind of a cuckoldry classic, if you ask me.
100%. This wrestler is the biggest cuckold in all of professional wrestling.
But kind of not though. He's kind of the cuckolder, not the cuckoldee, right? Because homeboy Nicky is in jail while this wrestler's out there banging his lady.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Banging his pregnant woman.
That is true. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's true. He's the bull in the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's the metaphor. Is like, while you're off at war or in prison, there's going to be some foreigner who's going to fuck your woman long dick style. And we have to stop this. I think that's what Ford was trying to say.
Yeah, it's going to give her the old one-armed Boston crab.
Yeah. Yeah, so like outside of the premise and like, you know, like I was like kind of into it for a while, but this movie reveals pretty quickly that it is 150 years old, and it's just like, I mean, it's just like a filmed play, and it's like pretty dull outside of that premise. with people just chatting. And then, every once in a while you get like a fun wrestling thing. But even the wrestling isn't, it's like fine, like I like that, like you said, like the bones of the wrestling that we know is there, people pulling tights and, people doing Canadian destroyers and only getting like a 2 count, all the stuff we know from modern wrestling.
I couldn't believe the power drill finish on that one match.
Exactly. So yeah, but like, yeah, it's like, even that stuff's like, it's fine. It's not like super exciting.
But graded on the curve of what other wrestling movies prior to this had delivered you more exciting action. Tell me that, Bowman. Exactly.
Yeah, that is true. That's accurate. But they do, they do film a rest holder too. I was like, you can leave that part out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. Like by the end, I was like, pretty bored. It does pick up. The ending is cool. It's like violent and very pre-code and stuff. Like, so I appreciate that. This would be a good movie to remake, probably. 'Cause nobody knows about it, and it's got like the bones of something fun. The wrestling and the spiciness and the botchery and stuff like that. But in practice, it's like pretty slow, pretty boring. But yeah, it's all right. It's all right. I'm not mad that I watched it.
But it sounds like you're trying to pitch this movie to me, but instead with the rock and wrestling connection inserted into it.
I think that would be better. Like if this was,
If they had Coco Beware in this, you'd be enjoying it a lot more.
I think so, yeah.
All right. Well, this was a case where my wife was absolutely furious when she found out that I selected a movie from 1932. But after watching it, she liked it more than she thought she would, mostly because she thought she would hate it, and she, tolerated it instead. So I think that is just kind of my main goal here, not just with my wife, but, with the audience and with you as well, Bowman. I just want people to recognize that these movies, from 100 years ago, you can watch them. It won't kill you. I promise. And, there will be some things that you'll find entertaining, probably.
Yeah, I'd say that's accurate.
I'm not trying to convince anybody that these are going to be the best movies they've ever seen or their favorites, but I think, there's some value in going back and checking these things out. I did check out this actor Wallace Beery's Wikipedia page, and while, as you would imagine, there is some fairly grim domestic violence type stuff on there.
Oh, no.
And a lot of divorces, there's also a few more lighthearted bits that I wanted to call out. There's a scene in this movie where Wallace Beery, as Polakai, is going to the hospital to meet up with the woman, Laura or whatever, who's just had a kid, and he brings a large stuffed elephant, which, by the way, I thought was a really nice looking stuffed animal for the 30s. Because I don't know if you've ever seen like Mickey Mouse dolls from the 30s, but like toys in the 20s and 30s were frightening usually.
Yeah, that is true.
Like weird misshapen faces and eyeballs that didn't match and things like this, but this elephant was a pretty decent looking elephant toy. Anyways, I saw on Wikipedia that the guy in real life ran away from home at age 16 and joined the Ringling Brothers Circus to become an assistant elephant trainer. So I guess that's maybe kind of a reference to his real life that they included the elephant toy. I would guess, right?
I would think so.
Okay, well, you seem fairly nonplussed by that exciting tidbit that the man was once an assistant elephant trainer at the Ringling Brothers. I got another one for you. How about this? In December 1937, comedic actor and Three Stooges founder Ted Healy was involved in a drunken altercation at Cafe Trocadero on the Sunset Strip, and apparently some writer years later would assert that Healy was attacked by 3 men: future James Bond producer Albert Cubby Broccoli, local mob boss Pat DeCiccio, and Wallace Beery.
Okay.
And following this beating, Ted Healy would die a few days later. So this guy may have killed the founder of the Three Stooges. Fascinating or not?
I mean, that's definitely fascinating. I think maybe the most fascinating part about that is that the founder of the Three Stooges is not a Three Stooge.
Yeah, that it's some guy that nobody's ever heard of. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
That is weird. Also weird that Cubby Broccoli was partying in LA with Wallace Beery in 1937.
That's pretty weird.
Pretty wild stuff. Beery owned and flew his own planes, including a Howard DGA-11. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Commissioned as a lieutenant commander in the U.S. Navy Reserve. That's not that great. I could probably do that. One of his proudest achievements was catching the largest giant black sea bass in the world, 515 pounds, off Catalina Island in 1916, a record that stood for 35 years.
All right, that's pretty cool.
I mean, have you ever caught a sea bass that was over 500 pounds?
Yes, once.
Well, but it was probably after 1916, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So it didn't really matter at that point. But yeah, interesting guy. Like I said, I think he was very famous at the time, but I don't really know very much about Wallace Beery. And based on his performance here, despite his Wikipedia page and maybe some of the things that he did after making these movies, I want to check out more of this guy's movies because I think he's a good actor.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
But that is Flesh, a movie that is very easy to watch on YouTube and a million other places. So if any of this sounded at all interesting to you, go look up Flesh from John Ford on YouTube. You'll find it.
Yeah. Also, it should be noted that when you picked this movie, I thought it was called Flesh because it was about like a shirtless professional wrestler, but it's actually called that because this lady fucks.
Yeah. Because it's highly erotic, this movie.
Yeah, so that's cool.
Actually, there is a line in this, speaking of the word fuck, there's a line in this where Nikki says to somebody else, I think one of the wrestling bookers that he's arguing with, calls him a dumb cluck.
Yeah.
And it sounds like dumb fuck. And I don't think I've ever heard anybody calling anybody a dumb cluck in a movie. So I'd like to think that was John Ford trying to get one past the censors.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, were there any censors? I mean, this is pre-code. Like, did they even have censors back then?
I guess they didn't, no.
Yeah.
So in that case, John Ford was a coward for not just coming right out and saying fuck in his movie.
Yeah. Cowardly filmmaker.
But anyways, yeah, that was Flesh. It's out there. Check it out. What will we be reviewing on the next installment of Junk Food Supper?
Well, I got two choices here for you. My last movie was from the 70s. Both of these are from 20 years before the 70s. So hopefully your wife's not mad to be watching an old movie.
Is it in color? That seems to be her cutoff. And you know what? I call question to this because I know that she loves Seven Samurai and all these Kurosawas. Most of those motherfucking Kurosawas got no color whatsoever, but that seems to be what she always says.
These are both in color.
Okay. All right. Then she will like this.
All right. So I'll give you the choice. Both of these have been on my list of movies to do for a long time. And both are named after types of animals. Do you want to watch without looking them up? I'll give you a little information about them. Don't spoil the surprise for yourself.
Okay.
First, we got Cobra Woman from 1944, directed by Robert Siodmak. A man tracks his kidnapped bride to a jungle island where her twin is the high priestess. Strange loves, unbelievable adventures in the South Seas.
A Universal picture, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
Cobra Woman, 1944. Or would you rather watch? And this might be a movie that Kevin would want to join us for, possibly. Probably not, I guess, but maybe. Gorilla at Large from 1954, directed by Harmon Jones. At a carnival called the Garden of Eden, a man is murdered, apparently by a gorilla or someone in a gorilla suit. This stars Cameron Mitchell and Anne Bancroft. 1954. What do you think?
Does it have Bob Burns in it in the gorilla suit? Can we find out that?
Raymond Burr is in the movie.
No,
Lee Marvin is in this movie.
No.
I'm not telling you who's in the gorilla suit. That's a spoiler.
Man, Bob Burns doesn't even get the main Wikipedia page for Bob Burns. I gotta go to Bob Burns 3 to find him. What's this movie you're telling me about?
Gorilla at Large.
Nah, it doesn't look like it's a Bob Burns feature.
No, there's no Bob Burns involved in this movie. This is, however, a panoramic production. The fine folks who made movies like Princess of the Nile and Man in the Attic, Rocket Man, other things nobody's ever heard of. But those are the two movies. Gorilla at Large or Cobra Woman?
I'm going to go Cobra Woman.
Cobra Woman, that's a good choice. It stars a young Sabu. Probably not the same guy as the wrestler, but...
It would be an older Sabu, actually, because Sabu was big in, like, the 30s. He's in the Jungle Book from, like, the 30s.
Oh, yeah.
He was, like, a kind of a famous child actor of the time, I believe.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, all right. We're going to be talking about a Sabu movie, so we're keeping the wrestling stuff alive.
All right.
Lon Chaney Jr. is in here as well. So this is a movie that is on... you can rent it everywhere. Prime Video, Apple TV, YouTube, Google Play, but it's not streaming anywhere. Probably on YouTube, I would imagine. But all right. Cobra Woman it is.
Okay. All right. Well, that will be next week, I believe. Cobra Woman. Exciting stuff. In between now and then, do all of the things that we ask you to do. We plead with you to do at the end of every show. Most importantly, please leave us a junk mail. You can do that by calling 347-746-JUNK. That's 347-746-5865. Call it on a telephone. Call it on a computer by going to facebook.com/junkfooddinner and clicking the call now button. Call it by recording a voice memo wherein you have the ability to, do as many takes as you want. You could write notes if that helps you, and send it to jfdpodcast@gmail.com. That's another way that you could send us a message as a voice memo that you mail to us via electronic mail. Go to junkfooddinner.com if you want back episodes of the show or you want links to things. It's not a bad place to find them. Find our Discord. It's very important because that's where we hang out and we party, and we want you to party with us on Discord. We're on Patreon, patreon.com/junkfooddinner. If you like the show, you want to donate, if you want to kick us some bucks, that's a way that you can do that. Go to youtube.com/junkfooddinner. Help us be the most unmonetized channel on YouTube. But I think that's about it. So until next time, this is your friend, Sen Biro, for your other friend, Perky Beantown Bowman, saying, keep washing them dishes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Nervin.